Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Why am I talking about Andre3000? I like what I'm hearing. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about music that I want to talk about. I've been listening to this album a lot lately, and I've got some thoughts about it. So, yeah, let's dive in. New Blue Sun by Andre3000. So, Andre3000 is an American singer, songwriter, rapper. I believe he got his start way, way back with the Outcast crew. This is over like 15 years ago. I remember it from Hey Ya. That's the big one. And Roses a little bit later on. This is a shift. This is a shift. If you had told me, hey, that guy that that helped out with Hey Ya, he's going to do a purely ambient jazz flute album, and most of the tracks are going to be well over 10 minutes long, I would have been like, well, I guess sign me up because I'm here for it. And I am a lover of like the ambient, impressionistic, jazz style of albums, and this one is one to enjoy. So right off the get-go, a lot of these tracks do run into the 10 minutes, and that's why I was very excited about it, because here's this very popular in the cultural zeitgeist kind of artist that is doing music that pushes the boundaries and goes well within the 10-minute mark, and is completely okay with that. It's all flute oriented. It's all very ethereal, very transcendent kind of music in that sense. And I want to at least address some of the criticisms that I have about this album first. The first being that a lot of these tracks do feel as they are wandering the landscape rather than journeying towards a destination. There's a little bit of like that, not all who wander are lost, but I'm definitely lost and I'm scared. I feel a little bit like that on here because a lot of the either crescendos or the where tracks go don't really feel all that well planned out. They don't have a little bit of like a rejuvenizing of themes or of a kind of a reinterpretation of ideas. It just kind of feels like this is the next place that the music is taking me. And for some people that might be very frustrating. There's not a whole lot of buildups or payoffs. But for other people like myself, it's just kind of you're along for the ride and we're going to see where we go. And for anybody that's not really familiar with the ambient sound, the new age, the very ethereal style of music, this might be a little bit samey and frustrating because, again, this album isn't short. It's over an hour and 20 minutes, almost an hour and a half long. So if you're not really in for this style of music, this could be a snooze fest. This could be very boring. But for me, that loves to be challenged and loves the style of music, I am okay with it. I'm along for the ride because there's a number of tracks on here that I really, really enjoy. The first track, and a lot of these are really long in terms of titles. The first track is I Swear. I really wanted to make a rap album, but this is literally the way the wind blew me this time. Get used to those like track titles. I thought that emo music from the early 2000s was long in title tracks, but this one's even longer. This one kind of gives you a full-bodied flavor of what to expect with this particular album. It's very windy. It's very grooving in that sense. I feel as if this at least lays the foundation for what we're going to get, and I'm glad that we started here because the next track of the slang word P*SSY, that's the title of the track, not me censoring it, rolls off the tongue with far better ease than the proper word vagina, don't you agree? I like that this one adds a little bit more of a funk tinge to the track. There's a little bit more of a tangibility to this track that I didn't feel on the first track, where the first track was very ethereal, very up in the clouds, not a whole lot of perch. This one at least has a little bit more of a foundation to it. This one has a little bit more of a tangibility to it that I really enjoy. There's this kind of physical grit. You know, for those who are more astute with progressive rock, kind of think of like some of the deeper cuts from Ummagumma from Pink Floyd, when you're thinking of that night in Hawaii when I turned into a panther and started making these low registered purring tones that I couldn't control. Shit was wild. That's the third track, and that's kind of what I'm feeling on here. You know, some of the like Nick Mason tracks from Ummagumma, where at least within this track we have a really interesting rhythm section, and I use that rhythm section more as a descriptor rather than a notifier, because it is percussive. You know, there is this kind of percussive aspect to it, but they treat the drumming almost as its own instrument rather than a rhythm keeper or a rhythm set. I think maybe my favorite track was By Polo Designer's Daughter Wears a 3000 registered trademark shirt embroidered. It's not necessarily because it's the second longest track, but I like that this album or this track in particular has a little bit more of a low register oomph to it. You know, there's a little bit more of a bop to this track. I really like how it blossoms into some of the movements that we have on this particular piece. I like how there's a little bit more of a full-bodied aspect to it. You know, we're really playing with overlaying of sounds and kind of layering of sounds in that case. Sometimes they come together to paint a really beautiful picture, but it's always transit. You know, it's always in motion and always changing and always moving. And I appreciate the fact that they're, you know, really trying to see what comes of this music. Without going too deeply, you know, you've got the two shorter tracks, 93 Till Infinity and Beyonce, and Ants to You, Gods to Who. They might appease a little bit more within the audience just because they're a little bit shorter at 3.5 minutes and 6.5 minutes. But for me, I love the two longer tracks that I haven't talked about. The first one being Gandhi, Dami Lama, Your Lord and Savior JC / Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and John Wayne Gracie. Yeah, this one, again, kind of all over the place. Kind of what I've mentioned before. I want to talk about that final track. The 17-minute track of Dreams Once Buried Beneath the Dungeon Floor Slowly Sprout into Undying Gardens. I mean, just that title track, like the title of the track alone is enough to make me intrigued. And I really love within the 7 minutes, we're getting a lot of that more, again, the new age ambient sounds that I really enjoy. This is one of the tracks that I think have my favorite aspect of this album, in it being very impressionistic. You know, you bring what you want into it, and the more you give, the more the track kind of receives and gives back to you. But it also showcases more of what I have a challenge with this album, in that it's very wandering. It's not, at parts, I feel it's very samey, but I enjoy that this one at least takes a risk of being a little bit longer and really like surveying the landscape to make sure that all items have been surveyed properly. So yeah, in the end, this was a really fun album and one that I kept coming back to. I applaud Andre3000 for, you know, sticking to where his artistic pursuits led him. And if it's in a ambient jazz, almost progressive rock, very noise induced music, very, as I mentioned, impressionistic, new agey flute music, have at her. I am here to support you. I will champion this switch. I wish more artists would do this instead of trying to chase a trend, chase the inspiration and chase the passion. And I'm so glad that Andre3000 did that. Yeah, I had a ball. I think that you guys would really love this. And my final rating for this one would be New Blue Sun by Andre3000 is one that I would absolutely pick up in physical format. What can I say? I'm a sucker for ambient. I love this style of music, and I love whenever an artist tries their hand in it. And I think Andre did a great job with this one. So if you're a fan of this style of music, if you love the ambient, if you love the experimental, impressionistic expressionisms, you're going to have a great time with this one. If anything that I said in terms of the monikers of the genre kind of got your back up, then avoid. You know, there's a lot of great music out there. You don't have to listen to everything. But that's what I think about this album. I love this album. I've been returning to it quite heavily when I just need some really chill music. That's what you got right here. So yeah, that's what I've got for New New Blue Sun from Andre3000. What did you guys think about this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. And I think I'm going to leave it there. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.